11 years later, everything is ours. We own everything. All the money in the bank is ours. All the stock in the warehouse is ours. We're totally self-sufficient.
Hello, this is Felix Tia. I'm the host of Shopify Masters. Each week, we invite entrepreneurs like you to share what they've learned growing successful e-commerce businesses. On this episode, we go to Utrecht to the studios of Bitten Design, where a 3-person team is creating unique and iconic products that you can find in shops all over the world. And the person bringing you their story is Shopify's Shuang Esther Shan. Welcome back, Shuang.
Hey, Felix.
So, what drew you to Bitten?
I got gifted a planter in a shape of a dinosaur, and it's just so different and yet functional. So I had to find out who actually made this planter. So I found out that it was made by Bitten Design. And when I was traveling, I would also see their designs in shops internationally. So I kind of had to find out, how does the 3-person team do so much, create the items, manufacture it, and have so many relationships with different shops and retailers all over the world. So I traveled to Utrecht and got to chat with Deanna Paces and El Cattell, 2 of the founders of Bitten Design.
And when you visited them in their headquarters, what was the feel of the place when you stepped into it?
Utrecht is the quieter and quaint cousin of Amsterdam. You still got the beautiful canals and medieval buildings, but it's also packed with creative businesses like Bitten. Once I entered their workspace, I can see a giant shelf filled with different planters that they made in the past. Cupboards filled with different items that they have 3D printed or old prototypes. I almost feel like there's 2 compartments to their space, the creative work side, and then there's also the comfortable conversation side where they can sit down and just chat with each other.
What was their reasoning for starting a business?
For them is actually really interesting. They were in the gifting industry working for different corporations before, and they actually talk about how they decided to leave those jobs.
It's a love story. I'm not sure you'd like it.
I love stories.
Okay. Wow. We met through work. I used to work for a company, and Deanna worked for the same company. She worked in Holland, I worked in England. And we met at various management meetings and things like that. So that's how we got to know each other, and we fell in love.
Deanna didn't want to move to London, so Elle moved to the Netherlands. But then Elle started working for a competitor, and when Deanna's bosses found out, they fired her.
They were very upset that she was basically sleeping with
the enemy
is how they described it. And I basically said, well, why don't you come and work with me at the company that I was working at then? And she came over to work with us. In that company, we were also lucky enough to find Jos, who is actually popped out to go and get everyone some lunch at the moment. And we all got on well. We all had a different skill set, and we all realised that we were making a lot of money for other people.
So Deanna, Elle, and their partner Jos Reinders broke off on their own, and Bitten Design was born.
Jos handles the running details and that kind of thing. Deanna, she thinks nothing about the running details, and she just designs things that she likes.
I like.
I mean, because we're a small company, we have no rules about what we can make or what we can't make. So if we like pink elephants, we can make pink elephants. If we like blue ceramic knives, we can make blue ceramic knives. It's up to us and what we like and what we feel is on trend at that moment.
Sounds pretty ideal, doesn't it? Fall in love, start a business, become your own boss, and make whatever you want. In hindsight, it's easy to feel like it was the right choice. But at the time, they had just left their stable jobs, and they were about to bet it all on Bitten.
It was really scary. Yes.
Especially as
we started off and we had to make products. And to do that, it takes money. Because, if you make a plastic item, for example, which we made quite a lot of in the early days, just the mold costs before you even make one could be $10,000. So we were spending money quite quickly. One of our customers, who is still a big customer now in Hong Kong, they asked us to take them out to dinner, and we went to quite an expensive restaurant, and they racked up a really massive bill, and we, as a company, didn't even have the money to cover it.
The first fair we did in Hong Kong, and we thought, we're going to sell for millions, and we didn't. And then we thought, what are we doing? Should we go back and get jobs?
That was the most expensive fair we've ever done as well. We built we thought, oh God, everyone's going to love it, and then we're going to make this amazing, beautiful stand, and we built this really nice stand with like a wave roof, and it was so nice. Everybody looked at it and went,
I thought, you're too expensive.
You must be really expensive. And that was the lesson that we learned from the first show that we did. Ever since then, we really pared everything back in Hong Kong to make it look
approachable.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily approachable, just that we weren't billionaires with a hobby. Things were quite tight at certain times for us financially, but with risk also comes the reward, and we were fortunate enough to be able to make a good plan, stick to it, and see it through, and develop our company into what it is today.
And what was their plan? Well, it started in Hong Kong.
We had worked before in Asia and in China and in Hong Kong, so we didn't go in there like blindly.
And we started in Hong Kong because we knew that we didn't have enough money to have a warehouse or even buy all of the stock, all of the products that we were making.
They started developing Bitten's first products, and at the same time, they were designing products for other brands and working as a trading company so that they had an alternative revenue stream while they were building up Bitten. Everything in Hong Kong works on FOB, which means freight on board. So they would ask for a deposit from the customer. They would pay that deposit to the factory who makes the products. Then they put it in a container, and the customer would then have to pay for the remainder of the bill before the ship arrived in their country.
Because we did that from Hong Kong, our financial risk was much lower. I mean, we obviously take the risk of developing products and making testing and doing all those sort of things for them so that they comply with whichever country they're going to be sold in. But our actual financial exposure after we'd made the product, was very, very minimal.
It's also worth mentioning that they started Bitten on their own savings alone. No banks, no investors.
Now in 2019, 11 years later, everything is ours. We own everything. All the money in the bank is ours. All the stock in the warehouse is ours. We're totally self-sufficient.
European sales have grown year over year ever since they've launched. They create 30 to 40 new items every single year and sell them in over 45 countries. But there's something about seeing their items out in the real world that never gets old.
You see your things there, and then you see a customer off the shop pick it up and hold it and wanting to buy it. I remember that we had once as well, and I was like, can I take a picture of you buying our product? Because even though you're selling it, because you've got figures and you've got all the maths things that you're selling it and people are reordering, actually seeing the end customer holding your product with a smile and going, I'm going to buy it. You're like, yes.
Since Bitten mostly sells their products through other retailers, it's sometimes hard for the end customer to connect those products back to their brand. So their Shopify store is more like a portfolio where they can feature all of their products in one place.
We're not relying on as our income stream, but we are relying on it as basically a source of advertising, a portfolio, a lookbook. When we look at how many visitors we have on a daily basis on Shopify, I'm always really quite surprised. And we know that we have a lot of shops will email us and say, okay, we've just looked on Shopify, you've got these new products, so can we order these? And we'll say, yeah, no problem.
I think what fascinates me is I want to know, how do you know if something will resonate with someone else? Because, sometimes you feel like, oh, it's a great idea to turn a planter into a dinosaur. But how do you know if everyone else in the world will also like dinosaur planters?
We travel a lot. We see a lot of things. We go to a lot of gift fairs that we exhibit at, so we see what other companies are doing. For example, we exhibit as a company in Hong Kong. Whatever we sell in Hong Kong won't be in the shops in whichever country in the world for another probably 9 months. So, we're working in front of what the general public see when they go shopping.
I always say it's a gut feeling. It's what you hear, what you see, it's the news, it's the music, it's the art. It's a bit like, we sometimes work with external designers and they are like, oh, what are you missing from your collection? And I'm like, but if I knew what I was missing, I would have already designed it. Because, it's...
But creativity is only part of what makes Bitten work. Not all good creative ideas are good business ideas, too.
Everyone can have a great idea. And I truly believe that almost everyone can have a great idea. But making the idea reality,
that's the trick.
That's the tricky part. Mm-hmm. One of our products we made a mustache pacifier. It was like when everyone first started with Movember, and I was like, oh, we can make a baby pacifier. And then Jos and Al were like, pacifier? Baby?
Yeah. I wanted to stay away because for me, there's a lot of laws to do with pacifiers in different countries and everyone's got a different set of rules. And it's a baby product, so you have to be super, super careful because you can't let anything go wrong. You're entrusting it to the most important thing in your life.
And then we made a mock-up, a 3D print, and it looked amazing. And we showed it to one of our biggest customers, and he fell in love with it. And then it took us another...
a year and a half to actually make it to comply to all the rules. And we could do that because the three of us had the knowledge and had the experience and know where to go and know what to ask and know specifications about plastics and rubbers and machines. And, although I must be honest that I think if it wasn't for Jos or Al, I would have had the idea and then it wouldn't have made it as a product. It's a fun business because we make fun items, but nevertheless, it is a business. There are products that I do because I know they need to be done. Like, say we have a huggable range, a few of them behind you. And I know that, every year I need to make a new design for it. Is that totally free and artistic? And no. But on the other hand, I then also... we make new items that have never been made. So I think it needs to be a balance. And then slowly, that, you need to make some things that are crowd pleasers. And then you have also the time where you can, freak out and, think of something totally new that you haven't done before. I mean, between myself, Diana and Jos, we have nearly 70 years of experience working in the gift industry. So, we have a lot behind us to fall back on. So, for example, Jos, because he deals with a lot of our logistics and that sort of thing, when we make an item and it's 6 foot long and 6 inches wide, he says, what the hell is this? We're never going to be able to ship it. You can't do it. Because he knows that that's going to be a problem for us. He also knows that when we make things that are slightly too fragile, and he'll say, you can't do that. We need to bulk it up a little bit or change it so that it has a bit more durability. So we're all sitting together and we're all talking together all the time. And I think that's really what makes it work for us, because our communication is all so open.
This is so exciting.
So basically it's a little glass item with a wooden base.
So Elle and Deanna showed me one of their best-selling items. It's a little glass barometer in the shape of a cloud.
So when the weather changes, the inside
flakes change shape.
Changes, so it makes like little snowflakes.
Like a lot of Bitten items, it's cute and useful, and you can gift it to almost anyone in your life.
From a colleague, who has a nice desk, to your dad, to your uncle, to your boyfriend, it's everyone loves it. We are not in a niche market, because for that we need to produce too many of something, but we are also not in a mass production market, because everything that we made is our own and is unique, and we make the molds for everything, and so we kind of, it's hard to say, but we kind of try to find our balance.
We are in the middle. I mean, we're quite happy to be sat in the middle, able to design whatever we want and make whatever we want, and we don't have to think, we need a kitchen item, we need this, or this is going to be the thing that completes our range and makes it perfect, because we do what we like.
They mostly get to do what they like. Sometimes they'll run into patents. A while back, they made a contact lens holder in the shape of vintage sunglasses, sort of like Ray-Bans, and they were selling really well until they found out that there's an American company that had a patent on any contact lens holder with oval receptacles.
And you think, well, who gives someone a patent? Because that's basically every single contact lens holder in the world, because it's for contact lenses. You can't have sharp edges. We were made aware of this, and they basically wanted us to pay them. We looked at their patent and we said, okay, the sunglasses we made were kind of looked a bit like Ray-Bans, so they were sort of slightly squarish, and the receptacle wasn't an oval or a circle. And we spoke to a lawyer, and he said, yeah, definitely not an oval or a circle. Yeah, you can win this. Now, all it's going to take, maybe $400,000 or $500,000. It's going to take 2 to 3 years, but we can win.
Jeez.
When we heard that number, we thought, wow, we're perfectly happy not to sell that item in America anymore and live without the stress of a lawsuit that could drag on for years and be really expensive. So yeah, there are things that we will fight for when people copy us or try to use our designs, and there are things that we'll just say, okay, that's not for us. We still, by the way, sell that contact lens holder pretty successfully in the rest of the world.
What I have a problem is bigger companies that look at smaller companies or middle companies or creatives and then just take their idea and copy it one-to-one and then mass produce it.
Have you guys had issues with that where, there's larger companies who have seen your designs
and copied them? Yes.
Being copied all the time.
Yes, all the time.
Totally.
Really?
We don't go a single year without a lawsuit.
Yeah.
I mean, we for example, we've mentioned the moustache pacifier. We own the worldwide patent for that. But if you go and look on the internet and you type in moustache pacifier, you can find a load of copies. So, what do you do? What do you do? We don't have the resources or the real will to want to spend our lives in what is really a negative way.
Mm-hmm. So what's next? Do you guys have plans or goals that you feel like you want to hit for the next 2020 visionary year?
For me, I think it's get more brand awareness as for people that know our brand. So that people go, oh, you're bitten. Oh, wow. That,
But my side of things of what we want to do next year is there are certain countries and shop chains that we'd like to do better and do more in, and that I think would be a really good fit for our products and what we do.
So grow, but naturally grow.
It's not that someone is going to come here and say, right, I've got 100,000, right, we're going to push to do this and this and this and this and this. We don't want to try and do too much, which we've seen other companies do and basically fail because of it.
Okay, before we close off, I do want to ask, I'm actually very fascinated about partners who are life and business partners. So I would love to hear what you guys would say, what's the one thing that has allowed you guys to be able to have this dual relationship?
Don't take it home.
Don't take it home.
I take it home.
Diana takes it home.
Take it home.
I don't take it home. So when we go home together and she says something about work, unless it's important in my mind, not that I will blank her, but
Don't make it all about work.
Yeah.
Before you started working together, if you like going to movies and festivals or just having a nice cup of wine together, keep doing that and keep thinking of the people.
Well,
but then on the other hand,
we've been dating for
15 years, 16 years, 15 I say.
a long enough time, and we still have date night.
The people who are closest to you I find, you also not irritate you the most, but you show your true self. So when you are frustrated or angry, I'll show it to Al first, and then then I've thought about it, and I'm half Greek, so I'm quite emotional, and I'm not very tactical always in how I say things, but I don't mean it like that. But my heart is on my sleeve, or how you say that in English. But then if Al was just a colleague, a friend colleague, I would maybe before I.
Oh, if we weren't living together, you'd have been sacked by now.
No, but I would have sacked him. Maybe I would have thought about it 1 second more. But the people who are closest to you, you're most honest.
Yeah,
it's much easier to say what you.
I mean, I think the thing that really tests your relationship is you're 24/7 with someone, and that can. Then little things can wind you up.
Yeah.
We've all got habits that the other one doesn't like.
That's a Shopify order.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it.
We're quite lucky as well in what we do is, I go and visit customers when I go travel lots of different places. So we're not
Constantly
with each other
together.
all the time, every day, 24 hours a day, and
Then you miss each other.
when we get back, it's always nice to be home and back together.
Thanks for joining me on my trek to Utrecht for another episode of Shopify Masters, the e-commerce podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs powered by Shopify. I'm Shuang Esther Shan, and if you have any thoughts on these special episodes for Shopify Masters, leave us a review wherever you're listening, and we'll read them all. Felix is going to be back next week with another great conversation with a Shopify merchant, so look out for that. Until next time.